Hey y'all, Sarah Morgan here with the Instagram account Cooking with the First Ladies. And today for the National First Ladies Library, we are going to make two different chili recipes as well as some pecan pie. Because not only is October National Chili Month, it's also National Dessert Month. So we are going to make Ladybird Johnson's Pertinele's River Chili as well as her pecan pie. And we'll also be making the Obama family's recipe for their chili. So what a perfect weather to have a little chili cook-off. So to start off, just a little bit about Claudia Ladybird Johnson. She earned that nickname when at a very young age, one of her nannies described her as being pretty as a ladybird. And it stuck around for the rest of her life, and it's actually what all of her friends and family referred to her as. She eventually went to the University of Texas in 1933 and received her bachelor's in history. The following year, she received a degree in journalism. She was also the very first First Lady to study previous First Ladies. Early in life and throughout her tenure, she read First Ladies' biographies, visited the Smithsonian exhibits of their gowns, and visited many presidential historic sites. Now, prior to entering the White House, Ladybird actually helped Lyndon B. Johnson keep his office in Congress open when he volunteered for the Navy during World War II. A few years later, after a heart attack, she also helped him run things until he could return to the Senate. LBJ once said that voters, quote, would have happily elected her over me. Now, the Johnsons were kind of thrust into these powerful positions quickly after the tragic assassination of John F. Kennedy. She eventually wrote and published a book about her experiences in the White House, using a lot of her diary entries. The very first diary entry was right after the events on that fateful day in Dallas in 1963. She said of writing down her accounts that, quote, I was keenly aware I had a unique opportunity, a front row seat on an unfolding story, and nobody else was going to see it from quite the vantage point that I saw it. Now, for LBJ's second term in office, she was extremely involved in campaigning for her husband. And she was actually the first First Lady to head out on the campaign trail without her husband. She boarded the Ladybird special for her whistle-stop promotion and delivered some of the very first speeches that were pre-written for a First Lady. During her whistle-stop campaign, she is said to have handed out her pecan pie recipe at every stop. So let's make Ladybird's famous pecan pie. Now the recipe will make one 9-inch pie. You can either make your crust homemade or use a frozen one from the store, which is what I'm doing today. And you're gonna wanna have this thawed first and also preheat your oven to 375 degrees. Next, to make the filling, we are gonna take half a cup unsalted butter that's been softened, 1 cup of sugar, 1 cup of dark corn syrup, half a teaspoon of sea salt, and 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract. So you're gonna wanna put this in your electric mixer. After this is totally blended together, then you're going to wanna add in 3 eggs and mix that until they are combined as well. Your last step with your rubber spatula is we are going to fold in the pecans. So basically, just use your spatula and incorporate them fully into the dough. Next, just pour the filling into the pie shell, and then you are going to bake it for about 45 minutes on the 375 degrees or until the pie filling and the crust is browned. Next, you're going to want to let it completely cool, and then you can top it with whipped cream. And there you have it. You'll have a beautiful pecan pie from the famous Ladybird Johnson. So Ladybird is also most notably known for being an environmentalist, which is why her nickname of Ladybird was so fitting for her. She also advocated for the environment and was instrumental in planting 2 million daffodil and tulip bulbs, 83,000 flowering plants, 50,000 shrubs, 137,000 annuals, and 25,000 trees around the public buildings in Washington. She also established the Ladybird Johnson Wildlife Center on her 70th birthday along her friend Helen Hayes in 1982. It was a nonprofit created to preserve native plants and indigenous wildflowers that are still disappearing from the landscape in America. She once said, "Where flowers bloom, so does hope." Her initiatives with the Highway Beautification Act in 1965 and more was groundbreaking in the role of a First Lady as she interacted directly with Congress. In addition to her beautification initiatives, she also worked on the National Head Start program, which helped underage preschool children prepare to begin school on the same level as their peers. She was awarded the Medal of Freedom in 1977 by President Ford and was also given the Congressional Gold Medal in 1988 from President Reagan. She was also friends with many former First Ladies. So next, we're going to make Ladybird's Pertinele's River Chili. This recipe is her actual recipe and can be found on the LBJ library page along with a few of her other recipes. The chili is named after the location of their Texas ranch. LBJ said, "Chili concocted outside of Texas is usually a weak, apologetic imitation of the real thing. One of the first things I do when I get home to Texas is have a bowl of red. There's simply nothing better." So in addition to passing out her pecan pie recipe, she also mailed out printed copies of the chili recipe because it was so requested. Ladybird said it was almost more popular than a pamphlet on the care of children passed out by the government at that time. So we're gonna step over to the stove and make some chili. Okay, so to make Ladybird Johnson's Pertinele's River Chili, you're going to take a pound of ground beef, as well as 1 large onion and 2 garlic cloves, both of which have been chopped. You're going to mix all those together and cook thoroughly until your meat is totally browned. So I kind of pre-did that. Then you're going to take your spice mix, which is going to be 1/4 a teaspoon of Mexican oregano, 1/4 a teaspoon of cumin, as well as 3 teaspoons of chili powder. So once you've got that together, put your seasonings in. Next, what you're going to do is you're going to take 1.5 cups of whole tomatoes and add them into your browned meat mix. Next, you're going to take 2 cups of hot water and add that in. And then finally, you are going to take some hot sauce and put in 6 very generous dashes, as she said. And then you are just basically going to let your chili cook until all of your tomatoes have melted down and everything. And what you will have is a lovely pot of Texas-style Ladybird Johnson's Pertinele's River. So one last quote from Ladybird Johnson before we move on to Michelle Obama's chili recipe is she once said, "Become so wrapped up in something you forgot to be afraid." So a little lesser known fact about Michelle Obama is that prior to Barack's campaign, she was actually the breadwinner for the family. She was once asked why she would give up her career, and she responded with saying she wasn't giving up her career or her husband. This was just something she was very passionate about in regards to his campaign. Now CNN actually just now has a new series out about the First Ladies, and the very first episode focused on Michelle Obama. And one thing that I took away from the episode, and I'd kind of forgotten about, was that she referred to herself as Mom-in-Chief, which I absolutely love. Now, of course, her Let's Move campaign influenced better eating habits, better school lunches, and tried to influence healthier lifestyles for everyone. It was just another one of the achievements of a First Lady, even like Ladybird Johnson and many others, who were such a positive counterpart to their presidential husband. She was also the First Lady in the age of social media. So for the final recipe, the Obama family chili recipe. Michelle said, quote, "I borrowed this recipe from my husband. It's now the president's chili recipe. When we lived in Chicago, we loved to invite our family and friends over to our house and make a batch of chili and enjoy the evening together." I mean, who doesn't love to share a nice pot of chili? So what you're going to do is you're going to take 1 large onion, 1 green pepper, and 3 garlic cloves, all chopped. You're going to cook those in a little bit of olive oil until they're soft. Then you're going to add in 1 pound of ground beef and cook that until it's brown, which again, like the other recipe, this part I have done beforehand. After that, you are going to take your little spice mix, which is half a teaspoon of cumin, half a teaspoon of oregano, half a teaspoon of turmeric, and half a teaspoon of basil, as well as 1 tablespoon of chili powder, and add that into your mix. Next, what you are going to do is make sure you stir that up really well. And then add in 3 tablespoons of red wine vinegar. Make sure you stir that in as well. And then you will take 1 28-ounce can of whole tomatoes, put that into the mix, and then add in 2 cans of red kidney beans. After you have everything all together and stirred up, just like the previous recipe, this is just going to cook until it's all incorporated and the tomatoes have kind of melted down. Michelle also said that you could serve this over white or brown rice and suggested topping it with cheddar cheese, sour cream, or even additional onions. So again, thank y'all so much for joining us today, and I hope that you'll have your own little chili cook-off at home. So let us know which was your favorite, Ladybird Johnson's Pertinele's River Chili or the Michelle Obama family recipe known as Presidential Chili. So thanks y'all so much, and we'll see you next time.